Hello and good evening, everyone. I am Rhonda Logan, Councilwoman for Memphis City Council District 1. I'm at home and I hope you are as well, comfortable. Grab you, a Coke or some tea or something, and we're going to chat tonight. I have some guests here, very important guests that I think you're going to be interested in. And again, so let's get started. Welcome to Council in Your Neighborhood. I want to first thank Kazukian for hosting this opportunity tonight. And I want to introduce our guests for tonight. We'll start out with our own director, Philip Davis, Director of Solid Waste Management. And thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate all of your support over the years and your hard work. We've worked together at the neighborhood level. So many years before you got this position, you were always available to us in the community. And I'm so delighted that you have this position. I think you understand from the community's position and community level how important it is, how these services are so important to our city. So thank you so much for being here. And our next guest we have two guests from Team Waste. We have Mr. Bobby Ladley, who is the district manager, as well as Mr. Cornelius Finley. I hope I said that correctly. Who is the assistant district manager. And thank you all so much for being here tonight to answer the questions from the community and to update us on anything that we need to know. So with that being said, I am going to, and I also want to always thank my staff, who is amazing. Thank you all for putting this together and for being an amazing staff. Couldn't do it without you. Ms. Liza Crichton and Jose Valentin. So right now, I'm going to open up the floor for you, Director Davis, to go ahead and just open up however you'd like, sharing any information to the community. I have been inundated with phone calls, texts, people I see in the grocery store. People are calling the office or emailing, just concerned about what's going on in Area E. And so I just felt like it would be great if we could bring the team to the community and let them ask you directly so you could explain, because you can explain much better than I can. And so go ahead and start out. Then we're going to open up for questions. We want the majority of the night to be for questions. And in between questions, you can share whatever information or Team Waste. Go right ahead. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Councilwoman. Thank you for having us. So I'm Philip Davis. I'm the director of the Solid Waste Division for the City of Memphis. I've been in this position since December, early December, but I've worked for the city, as Councilwoman mentioned. I've worked for the city for about 11 years, a little over 11 years in the Solid Waste Division. Solid waste I've been in the solid waste industry for over 25 years. Prior to coming to the city, I worked for the state of Tennessee as the state's deputy director of solid waste on the regulatory side and permitting. So I have a firm understanding of the solid waste business. It's very personal to people. It's very personal to me as a customer, but also as somebody in the industry. We service garbage, recycle, and bulk waste collection for approximately 172,000 customers citywide. About 36,000 of those fall in Area E. Each of our 5 areas have approximately the same number, about between 34 and 37,000 customers in each area. Area E runs from the extreme eastern, the extreme northern, it's the eastern part of the city, extreme northern to US 64, Morning Woods, Countrywood area, south through South Cordova, the Walnut Grove Lake area, hops over the Germantown section, and comes into Hickory, the edge of Hickory Hill, Kirby Woods area of town. We provide bulk waste, garbage, and recycle collection. Bulk waste is done twice per month on a schedule. Recycle and garbage are the carted waste types, and they're done weekly. Got some notes here for me, make sure I'm hitting everything. So just to give you some perspective of what the division, including that with the help of Team Waste, our contractor that services 20% of the customers, the other 80% by city crews. We touch our customers approximately 23 million times a year. So we understand that this gives us 23 million opportunities to slip up and make a mistake. And we are not going to sit here and tell you that we are perfect at what we do. This is not a flawless industry. It's garbage, and it sometimes can get messy. But it is a core essential service that we provide to you, our customers. We provide it as a matter of public health, and we take that very seriously. Just some things I would remind our customers. We do have a cart lease program. Carted waste, when you can put it in your garbage cart, your green garbage cart, or recyclables in your gray and green recycle cart, we do offer a lease cart program where you can lease for an additional $10 per month to have a second garbage cart assigned to your residence, your location. We encourage people to do that because it improves the efficiency of the operation. It reduces on-the-job injuries. Safety is a primary concern of anybody in this industry. The solid waste industry is typically named in the top 5 most dangerous industries there are out there. So we're very focused on safety, and one way you can help keep our employees safe is if you have the means, leasing that additional cart, especially if you generate overflow waste routinely, that overflow waste to cut down on vectors and rats and mosquitoes and everything else, as well as keeping our employees safe. It keeps your neighbors safe by getting that second garbage cart. We also want to encourage you to download the app, the Curbside Collection app that's out there. It's available free for iPhone or Android devices. That app, you can type in your address. You can get notifications about changes in your service delivery. Last week we had a holiday. It was a kind of a weird holiday schedule, with the April 4th holiday being an actual holiday we observed, but we worked Good Friday and then Saturday before Easter. That Curbside Collection app will give you notice of your collection each day or each week, and keep you informed. In the event we have an ice storm, we used it to push out notification of any delays in service when we had poor weather events. So it's just a way to keep you informed. There's also a waste wizard on there, which will help you identify what's recyclable and what's not. It'll give you information on the Shelby County's household hazardous waste facility. And so these are things that we encourage you. I want to be respectful of the time we have here, and give you the ample opportunity to ask questions. So I'm gonna cut it off there. But any direct questions regarding bulk waste, garbage, and recycle, we're here to answer those.
So can you hear me? Okay. One question is, several residents have noticed the difference in trash versus recycling collection. It seems trash is more reliably picked up. Is there a difference in how trash and recycling are collected?
So yes, there are differences, different trucks that are sent out on the routes. So each week we have a garbage route, your neighborhood, your route, your house is routed as a garbage and recycle route. So a separate garbage truck will come and collect, typically a rear loader type truck that has a driver and at least one helper on the back that's loading the cart on some kind of flipper that flips the cart into the rear of the truck, and then it's returned to the curb. Recycle in A, B, C, and D, the city only has rear loader type trucks, but in Area E, there are automated trucks that have, sometimes called the one-armed bandit, that's out there flipping carts. Team Waste does utilize those in recycle collection primarily. Those trucks are sent to the MRF, and the recycling is evaluated as clean, and then sorted for its commodity value and sold on the commodity market, returned to you as products that you buy that say, hey, this contains recyclable materials. So yes, there are two different ways. If the question is specifically referencing delays, typically we staff garbage routes first. We are like any other industry, people in the transportation industry. Commercial driver's license is required to drive our vehicles. There is a CDL shortage of available drivers in the industry nationwide and here locally. And so on any given day, with absenteeism, with people moving for a better job, that can create employee absence issues that have to be juggled each morning when we're assigning routes. And of course, our core service, garbage, is going to be the first thing staffed out, because garbage needs to be garbage is being collected as a matter of public health to cut down on vectors that I mentioned earlier, to protect your neighbors. It's just important, especially when we get into these warmer months, to get that garbage off the street. And as long as you're not putting any contamination in your recycle cart, those materials in that recycle cart should not be putrescible and as big of a vector issue.
Okay, thank you for that. How does the city communicate and schedule with Team Waste?
I mean, the city communicates with Team Waste daily. Each morning, Team Waste provides crew out information, covered routes, and we I mean, we're in constant communication all day long. We have a manager, a senior manager, and a supervisor assigned to Area E to monitor progress and any route issues, identify violations where customers are placing things, either contractors out there cutting trees, cutting grass, and placing it at the curb for us to collect. That's just a reminder that city ordinance says that if you're paying somebody to do work at your house, that's not just constructor contractor debris. I'm talking about yard clippings. If somebody's mowing your grass, bagging it and putting it at the curb, if somebody's doing your leaves, if somebody's doing tree work, all that stuff is prohibited by ordinance from the city collecting. When you place that out, that's considered theft of service, and it's against the city ordinance, against the law. So we ask you to have a conversation with your yard service and let them know that they're required by ordinance to haul it away. And when it's caught, and when that is discovered that theft of service has been happening, we place a large yellow tag on that pile, noticing the violation. The customer will have 5 days to remove it. If the customer doesn't remove it, the city will come and remove it and invoice the customer for that charge. That's the ordinance, and we try to follow that when we can.
Okay, I have a question that I've gotten several calls on the same issue, and the main area is Morning Woods neighborhood off of 64. They have been complaining about part of the neighborhood being picked up and the other part would not be picked up, or it could be 2 or 3 houses on the street get picked up and then others do not. Could you kind of speak to that, you or Team Waste, as to if you have had that problem or that complaint, and if so, how could that have happened, or what have you found if that's the case? I know many of them have asked me that. Why is it that some neighbors' homes will be picked up and then they'll drive right past another house? So if you could speak to that.
Yeah, I'll start off and I'll offer Team Waste an opportunity to speak as well. But just in my experience, when that has occurred, we've had issues in all parts of the city with on-street parking. When cars are blocking, whether it's a yard service, whether it's a visitor to your house during the day, somebody has a cleaning service, whatever. When you see when those carts are blocked, when piles are blocked, there's too much liability in damaging somebody's vehicle, or another instance can be with utilities. I know in my neighborhood, I see quite often somebody will see a cable box, somebody will see a telephone pole, and they will identify that as a great place to stack their debris next to. Well, it makes it very difficult for a claw truck to come in and remove that waste, because the infrastructure there can be damaged with that equipment. So we ask, just like with your carts, that you keep your carts 4 feet from your mailbox, 4 feet from your water meter. Even though that water meter is flat to the ground, if you stack a bunch of limbs on top of it, when that grapple goes in, that claw truck goes in to grab that debris. I've seen them many times pull that water meter out of the ground. And so that is something nobody wants to experience ever. So it's just a mess all around. And so I would encourage people to check that. I'll pass it off to Team Waste and allow them an opportunity to talk about their experience with Morning Woods and elsewhere in Area E, what they've seen.
So thank you, Philip. I don't recall hearing anything about Morning Woods specifically, but I can speak to how something like that scenario might happen. You know, our routes are typically large enough where we fill our trucks more than once. So if we get to a point in a route where we pack out, which is our terminology for getting the truck full, and we have to break off and go to the landfill, that's a situation where we might stop in the middle of an area and not get everybody collected. If we have some kind of mechanical breakdown, or if we run into an hours of service issue where legally we have to get our employees off the road. I don't recall, and I'll let Cornelius join in too, I don't recall specifically hearing anything about Morning Woods, but we've written that down so we can look into it.
Yeah, I agree. That's definitely the case. And especially when it comes to bulk, I know I've heard that quite a bit when it comes to piles, bulk piles, and it just becomes very difficult to get through all of it when you're expected to have 4 or 5 yards for each home. And when you get there, like Philip was talking about earlier, when a contractor comes there and cuts down maybe close to a whole tree, we pack our truck out so much faster because we're designed to go 500-600 houses, and we make it 2 blocks through 100 houses, and the truck's full. So we have to take it to the landfill, come back, and after we do that 2 or 3 times, 2 or 3 loads, and still may have some left. To Bobby's point, we run into hours issues, and we have to get the trucks off the road and then start back the next day. So that's some of the reason why they may see that also.
We've also run into a situation where we will get to an individual's house and it's clear to us that a contractor has cut a tree down or done a lot of work, but we didn't see it. It's there when we get there. We have to pick it up. But I can load my truck out at that one house and have to go to the landfill. And other people see that. Why didn't they get mine? I had a small pile on this side. Well, I didn't have any room left in my truck because I had to pick up this entire tree on the other side. So we run into those kind of scenarios. Philip mentioned earlier that there's a lot of communication goes back and forth between the city and Team Waste. And when those are identified to us, we certainly jump on them as quickly as possible.
Okay, that's understandable. I'm not.
Councilwoman, I just wanted to add real quick, just geographically, Morning Woods and that part of the Wolf Chase area. our landfills, there's one down on Malone Road, operated by Republic Services. That landfill is down on the state line on Malone Road. There's another one on Old Millington Road, operated by Republic Services, up on the edge of Millington.
Mm-hmm.
And that part of the city is geographically the furthest away from the landfill. And so when that truck packs out, I mean, we design a truck for a route for the volume that's expected. And when an unexpected volume is encountered on that route, you pack out that truck. You can go to South Shelby landfill and wait in line 2 hours to dump. And so it depends on the time of day. It depends on the route. Again, I'm not making any excuses. It's our responsibility to do this. And that's, some of our discussion we've had with you and council about this and the Blight Task Force. These are not excuses. This is just the reality of the transportation industry. And when FedEx flies across the ocean to go pick up packages, they know exactly how many packages they're going to pick up. And when Team Waste, when the city crews deploy at 7:00 tomorrow morning, we're sending a grapple truck and 2 garbage packers to Friday customers. And we have no idea if you're out of town and you're not putting your cart out. We have no idea if you stole your neighbor's cart and you've got more carts than we expect. We have no idea if you didn't put your garbage out, but you did cut down four wisteria plants, and you got a bunch of wisteria, piled up. You can't. Looks like a fort in front of your house. You can't see the front door in front of it. It's kind of an Easter egg hunt some days when you're going out there and picking stuff up. And we're in the midst of spring cleaning. This is the highest volume time of year, it happens.
Yeah. Okay. And that makes a lot of sense. I'm really glad that we're here tonight, because some of the things you're sharing, I didn't even think about. I had no idea about the landfill and the weight. It kind of sounds like the impound lot, the way that the towers have at the impound lot. So that's something I'm putting on the list that we got to think about. We do have some questions in the comments. One is from Stat Cat, not sure who that is, but large household goods such as furniture left on sidewalk for pickup is a problem in our area. Is there a regular pickup of these items? And before you answer that, I was going to ask something similar. Do the same trucks pick up both? But answer his question first.
Okay. So bulk waste, we ask that any uncarted waste be put out on your assigned bulk collection week. That is twice per month. It's available on the app. It's available on the Memphis Curbside Collection app that I mentioned earlier. It's also available on the website. If you go to the city of memphistn.gov, click on solid waste, you can type in your address. You can print a calendar out there. So those 2 assigned bulk weeks, we have you're either the first full week and the 3rd full week of the month, or the 2nd full week and the 4th full week in the month. Occasionally there's a 5th week. We use those weeks for maintenance and to catch up when we do get behind during those 5th weeks. But we ask that any items that are overflow outside your cart be placed out on your bulk collection week. So if you've got a recliner that you want to put at the curb, put it out on your bulk week. Don't put it out on your off bulk week and cross your fingers, because the grapple is not scheduled. The grapple is not scheduled to come on your route that week. The grapple is scheduled to come on your bulk week. And when we have when we get calls, we do get calls, and we have to go and clean up things. That's pulling equipment. These aren't these are very specialized pieces of equipment. You got a highly skilled person that's driving that vehicle. And when we get that call, we pull that off a route. And when somebody says, "Hey, that truck just left my route and they left my stuff," they might have gotten a call to go pick something up across town. And we don't like to give that kind of special service. That special service creates, we acknowledge we make mistakes and everything else, but that special service creates havoc in the routine collection system.
Okay. And well, at this point, it might be a good time to reiterate, I think, what you shared, or if you shared it or not. I know we talked about it in the blight and illegal dumping task force about some ideas that you had regarding putting things like that out. We talked about adding on more convenience centers where people can dump, and there's going to be an event this on the 15th where people can bring items like that. Do you have any information on that?
I don't have that information in front of me right now. I believe it's over at the University of Memphis. Is that
Yeah.
what you recall? And
No,
that,
it's
and
the
that,
15th.
yeah, and it's an event that's not directly sponsored by the Division of Solid Waste, but we are encouraging people to do things. They're trying to recover, recycle materials. They want they're trying to find ways to divert waste from the landfill. My recollection, but also trying to drive down illegal dumping. Yeah, we want to encourage people to participate in that. Public Works Division over on at their Collins Yard has a drop off location for waste and recyclables, tires. But they have a drop off location that they've constructed. We're in the process right now of working with two different entities, one with US EPA on some Swiffer solid waste infrastructure grants that are part of the bipartisan infrastructure bill that passed. So we're working on about $3 million or $1.5 million of support from EPA to construct some convenience centers at our Bellevue facility and our Ferrisview facility. Bellevue is located up in New Chicago, and then Ferrisview is over off of Ferrisview Boulevard, right there at Lamar and 240. And so it would give us a little bit of coverage north and south, with Public Works having one in the center of the city. Those right now we do have access for folks to bring yard waste and debris to Ferrisview and Bellevue. There's a roll-off location located at each one of those facilities, trying to give people an opportunity. If they want to get it off the street, they can and they have the means to get it there. We certainly want to encourage that.
Okay. But if you would type that, or Liza, if you all could type that address in the chat or in the comment section where people can take those things if it hadn't been picked up, if they want to take them, get them off the street, like the location that you just mentioned as well. And just wanted the residents to know that we are looking to provide convenience centers north, south, east, and west. That's something that a preliminary resolution that the council did pass. Now we're going to be putting some funding towards making certain that we have locations for people to drop off things. Now, getting back to, there are several questions in the chat, getting back to the Area E's emergency situation, I want to note that Mr. Catron made a note, refreshing to see leaders available in several formats to get info. Thank you for tuning in, and share this with someone that lives in Area E that might benefit from this information. Also, we have Mr. Spivey, Maurice Spivey. I hope I said his name right. He felt like we needed to have a greater sense of urgency. Well, that's the whole purpose for this meeting. We do know that there is a lot going on as it relates to dumping out of the cart waste, trash, and debris, and we are here to address those areas. Wanted to bring the leaders to you to answer your questions. So another one of the questions is, there are no disposal contractors that are bidding on the next contract. So how will Area E be serviced in the future?
Area E is going to be rebid shortly. I have had a few vendors reach out to me and express interest in the bid. So I'm not sure where that information is coming from, but there is interest in Area E. The issue has been in the past the rate that we were willing to pay a vendor, but I think right now the city has committed to paying a vendor what it would need to be paid to provide adequate level of service out there.
Okay. Bulk week is a disaster. Area D is suffering. We have 47 trucks on the down line every day. Crews have to wait until another crew finishes so they can get their truck to start their assignment. Sometimes they don't leave the barn until 10:30. That was a comment made. I don't know if you want to speak to that.
I mean, equipment, just like with team waste, equipment is a constant struggle. Equipment and people. Attendance runs about 27% absenteeism every day. It's worse in the south sector than north. But equipment, when we do have adequate staffing, that becomes the issue. We have we have 30, 35 pieces of equipment on order that are scheduled to be received between now and July 1. Of course, global supply chain issues have pushed vehicle delivery out to 18 months. We ordered these trucks in March. We ordered these trucks in March of last year, and we're not scheduled to start receiving the first ones before May, June of this year. And so it's just it is the same problem with parts. Parts are an issue in acquisition, and we're kind of at the mercy of a supply chain issue.
Okay. Yeah, and that's a problem everywhere. Not making excuses, but I want people to really know what's going on. I've lived in Cordova, I live in Raleigh, I've lived in Bartow, I live in different places, and we all want to have clean streets. We all want our trash picked up. We all want good service. And I'm sure you all live in the city of Memphis and you want the same things. And so we are here to answer questions, to get through this together as a community. And I, again, want to make certain that you have access to the leaders. You can ask your questions directly. The next question is from Catherine Stackpole. She asks, why do trash bins get specially picked up by your team for the disabled and not the recycle bins?
This customer is speaking to the waiver system, waiver service that we offer to the disabled and elderly. We do offer waiver service where we will go up to your house and grab the cart and bring it down and dump it and bring it back up. That is a service that's only offered for garbage, and it's strictly because of staffing. We don't have the necessary people and equipment to provide waiver collection, backdoor collection for recycle. It is something that we make every effort to provide for those that are in need. But again, our core service is providing for garbage collection as a matter of public health and safety, and we want to make sure that our customers are not being exposed to that. We want to, if they're disabled, we want to provide that garbage service for them, and we just don't have the staffing and the funding to provide backdoor service for recycle as well.
Okay, I think that was the last question in the chat. Some of the other questions that I've been asked is why the machines break the carts, the top of the carts come off and they're broken, and then they won't replace them, or if they replace them, they're told to turn the carts over and that someone will pick them up, and then they never pick them up. I also was told that there was a neighborhood, someone requested carts, and they just have extra carts in their neighborhood, just around on different streets. And so that was one thing that I wanted to see if you could speak to. But the first one is to damaged carts by the collectors.
Yeah. No, that's definitely damaged carts are a symptom of specifically automated collection. Primarily automated collection. So we see it in Area E, probably more than A, B, C, and D. But we do damage carts in A, B, C, and D as well with the flippers. If the catch bar is missing, if the lid is damaged, we want customers to report. It's actually an ordinance that the customers report damaged carts. That keeps our employees safe. A damaged cart can flip up and hit an employee in the face. Somebody grabbing it can hurt their rotator cuff, shoulder. That's a common injury with our folks. So we want our customers to report these damaged carts before they get into this, get into missing a cart for weeks and it hadn't been delivered.
Okay. So I definitely want to remind anyone, if you have a question, please put it in the chat and we'll read your comment or your question. Also, did you answer the question about the extra carts in the neighborhood? Like they're just, carts that aren't assigned to anyone.
If there are extra carts in the neighborhood, we want to know that. Please report that to 311. Report those. We will send Cart Central service fees inspectors out. I got a call about one this morning and sent it out to service fees to inspect a house in Area E that had 5 carts. And we knew there was something that's suspect because they had 2 recycle carts and no customer is assigned more than 1 recycle cart. And so, a lot of times we see what we refer to as cart envy. People, if your neighbor gets a new cart delivered to them, they will, if your neighbor gets a cart delivered to them, they will be jealous of the new cart. And then everybody in the neighborhood will be calling for new carts. And sometimes they won't call for a new cart. They'll come and take your cart because they got home from work early and let you call and say, hey, they said they delivered my cart, but they didn't. And so we just, it's something that we constantly battle, but we do provide that service where we will go out and inspect the neighborhood. We also send notices to customers when they don't return their cart from the curb back to the house. And so if you see that cart out after hours, you can report that to 311 and we'll send somebody out.
Okay. A couple of more questions. Angela Blakely has joined us and she made note that her main pet peeve is that especially when it rains, the garbage lid is left open. What can be done about that?
Just report that to us and to 311 and we will send somebody. We will have a coaching, with our crews. Often it's done really to make it easier to identify what routes, what streets have been serviced. That when it rains, it's very frustrating. It also creates the loathed garbage juice issue, where if you leave the garbage cart lid off, you got 6 inches of water in the bottom of the cart. When that cart is dumped, the next time it's going to be fermented garbage that's in rainwater, that's in that truck driving down the street, and so that's what we want to prevent. Again, damaged lids, report those to 311 because that can be a problem and a safety issue as well. But again, with cart lids left off, that's something that we need to know about so we can have a coaching session with our team to make sure that they're putting those lids back on and those carts are being returned to the curb as they should be.
Okay, great. One other question. The next question, or it's a long comment. There is continued curbside trash set out at the traffic island along Rock Creek Parkway. Countrywood residents have been visited by the Countrywood Association leaders, both in person and by personal letter, asking them to not put curbside trash there, but in front of their homes. Although Public Works maintains the grass and condition of the traffic islands, those crews are not equipped to remove curbside trash. What is the long-term solution to this continuing issue?
I mean, really, we got to work with the community to have them. I mean, we're not out there every day, and the neighbors know who's doing it. And that's who needs to be coached, counseled, disciplined, whatever it is for doing it. Your garbage is supposed to be presented in front of the service location, the registered service location. That's who's paying the fee. When you put it on the island, when you put it in the right of way, that is public right of way. It is in violation of the ordinance, and it's really just a hazard there. And Team Waste has a contract with us to pick up at certain identified locations. And when you place it in a location that's not identified, they're not required by contract to collect it. And the city does not have city crews in the solid waste division that goes out there and collects that. So then Public Works then has to, when they're maintaining the right of way, they have to pay additional funds to their contractor that maintains those medians to remove that waste. Those monies don't come out of the solid waste fee. That comes out of the general fund. That comes out of your property taxes. And so, then we're looking at available property tax money to take care of those additional things. We need to work with our customers in Countrywood to identify those contractors, those bad actors that are out there that are putting those things on those medians, so that we can try to get to the source of the problem and fix it.
Is that considered illegal dumping?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So we may need to put the cameras there for a couple of weeks or so, or months, to see who is actually doing it, and then we can fine them a hefty fine for those cameras that I guess they're covert cameras,
right? The deer cameras, or
yeah. So to determine who's doing this, who's violating it, and then they can be fined. And a certain level of illegal dumping, you can receive jail time. Correct?
Yes, there's an aggravated criminal littering that is a felony.
We're really going to have to get strict on this illegal dumping and putting your trash wherever you think you can put it, because it's costing the city and it's costing other residents. So, Countrywood, that may be something you would consider getting a camera there so you can identify who's doing that dumping and turn that information in.
And from a planning standpoint, those medians are an aesthetic amenity to the neighborhood, and we don't want to do anything to threaten our future planning of whether or not we want to put a median in when we're developing a new neighborhood, because it's an illegal dumping. It attracts illegal dumping, and so we want to come to a solution on this so that we can be confident that we can put in amenities, install amenities like that in the right of way, and not be concerned that they're going to be a magnet for illegal dumping.
Okay. Supervisors and managers are deleting OSRs without the bulk refuse being picked up in the north sector. Did you want to speak to that?
Which supervisors and managers are deleting OSRs? I mean, if Mr. Spivey, who is the chapter representative or the staff representative for AFSCME Local 1733, if Mr. Spivey wants to call me, he's got my cell phone number. He can call me and tell me what supervisor or manager he believes is doing that. But the call volume doesn't indicate that. Councilwoman, as you know, when somebody closes a service request without completing it, that generates 4 more phone calls, because it's, hey, it's still out here. Hey, they closed it, and they're lying about it. And the call volume doesn't indicate that in the north side.
Okay, I didn't know that Ms. Spivey was an employee. Okay, and if he's a resident, he has a right to ask a question as well. So, but the next question is, when will we start recycling TVs, et cetera, and ramp up our entire recycling operations? We want to increase our recycling like other cities.
So e-waste is acceptable at the household hazardous waste facility that's run by Shelby County. And so we do offer that as a drop-off location. At that drop-off location, it's not offered directly by the city, but we do encourage those household hazardous waste and e-waste to be taken over there off Haley Road behind the TBI building for proper diversion from the landfill. So again, I just encourage people to visit that facility for any household hazardous waste and e-waste that they have.
Okay. I wanted to note some of the things that we were looking at or talked about in the blight and illegal dumping, as it relates to solid waste that was included in our recommendation to council, and council did approve the recommendation that we will be revisiting for ordinances or to discuss moving forward with these areas while I wait on others to add comments or ask their questions. Some of the things that we talked about was transitioning to a tiered collection fee system based on size and number of carts leased by residents. And a lot of this was, I want to go back, a lot of this was discussed because the way we are collecting our bulk waste right now is not sustainable for our city. And everything I'm saying is based on the things that we talked about because of the size of our city, because of the issues we're having with labor, because of the issue we're having and across the nation with supply chain delays and things like that. Right now, we have a contract in this area, but the way we're handling it overall, we need to reevaluate the allowances for bulk waste because of the need to kind of pull it in. Other cities are doing the same thing, and we're pretty much one of the only ones or last ones that offer this type of service, just whatever you want to put out twice a month. That's really not seen in other areas. So wanted to put that out there to let you know and get your thoughts and feedback about what's happening. The next one is eliminate current outside the cart bulk waste policy and transition to on-demand bulk waste collection service. Residents may utilize 4 to 6 times per year. Residents would book in advance by calling or going online and pay a special bulk pickup fee. The next one was support for the city of Memphis to develop and enter a regional solid waste plan with Shelby County government. And then the last recommendation was to create a share the penny style program for solid waste fee revenues to go towards construction and or operation of convenience centers. So those are some of the things that we talked about. And if you wanted to elaborate on any of them or add anything to that discussion or some of the things that came out or some of the points that you were making, because I do want people to understand what's going on, why it's happening, have full disclosure in Area E on the things that they're experiencing and why they're experiencing them and how they're going to be resolved, what the timeline is for them to be resolved. So if you could just touch on those main things that we talked about and how they correlate to all of the complaints that you may have received.
Okay. Well, the big one was addressing bulk waste. And so bulk waste in Memphis is kind of it's a Cadillac service that's offered. We offer up to 10 cubic yards twice per month. And it's really unprecedented in a city this size. Bulk waste is, we challenged customers in 2019, went from a 21-day service level agreement that was, was kind of being met, but was very inconsistent. It required a lot of interaction from the customer with 311 only after they were frustrated because it hadn't been collected without a phone call. So we developed this system to try to normalize it and schedule it. What we've seen since 2016 is a 240% increase in bulk waste volume in the city. We collected about 57,000 tons of class 3 waste. That's what we consider bulk waste, what we send to the construction demolition landfills. We generated about 57,000 tons of that in 2016. Last year, we collected about 179,000 tons. So that's a huge increase, and it is something that is going to continue to spiral out of control until we come to some understanding about waste minimization and being more responsible as consumers, even with yard waste. There's mulching, there's composting, there are things that we can do other than throw this stuff into our valuable landfill space. Our landfill space is considered an economic driver. It creates jobs. And when we fill it up with stuff that, we mow out of our yard, that's space that can't be sold or can't be used to attract industry to Memphis. And so it really is an economic issue that we need to discuss. Now, the Blight Task Force did pass, a recommendation of revising the bulk waste collection schedule, possibly 4 or 6 times a year, a call-in service. That this will bring it more in line with what other communities, what the industry sees in other communities. But that's going to be a heavy lift for behavior change with our customers and enforcement. There's going to have to be enforcement, because in 2019, when we went to the twice per month model, we had every intent to increase enforcement with the code enforcement team in Public Works. Unfortunately, we got hit with COVID, and those code assets were redirected into restaurants and other places, and it significantly impacted our ability to educate the customers on the proper system. And so what we found is we increased the customer's appetite for generating waste, and they stepped up to the plate. We are generating more waste than we did on the bulk waste side, and it's not sustainable to do that. And just as a side note, in 2016, we did a survey of our customers. We sent about, if memory serves, about 12,000 customers surveys. We got about 10 or 15% back. Districts wide, 1 through 7, it was very consistent. Reported back to us that less than 20% in every district reported that they used bulk waste service more than 4 times a year. Now, they may not have been 100% truthful with us when they submitted that survey back. I acknowledge that, but the data that we had in 2016, when we first talked about going to some kind of quarterly collection or something like that, indicated that 20% of our customers were using the most expensive service, and 80% of our customers were subsidizing it.
Okay. So we have another question or comment. Says that we eliminated the trash trucks in 2016. We were getting the piles up by hand and pitchforks when they were small, before they became picker piles or bulk piles. There's another question. Basically, it was about we didn't have the illegal dumping when we had trash trucks.
Yeah, I mean,
the bulk weeks and bring back. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I didn't finish the question. Please get rid of the bulk week and bring back the trash trucks. No trash trucks equals illegal dumping. Then the next area question by another viewer was, just add these as feedback. Request, increase items that are eligible for recycling. Look at other cities composting, as he mentioned, more electronics, batteries, light bulbs, etc. So those were 2 different people with comments. Right. And you can speak to those.
Yeah, again, Mr. Spivey was at the table in 2016 when we eliminated the trash truck. We sat down with ASME Local 1733 and had labor management meetings. We discussed different models. We came up with this model. ASME agreed at the time that we could perform going to 6 garbage trucks and 3 recycle trucks per zone. That's the model that we're currently running. We have switched the bulk model away from the old 21-day SLA. We did that in 2019. But in 2019, what we did was we doubled the number of grapples and the number of dump trucks that we had in the city to address that. Again, AFSCME has been along the way and a great partner in this. But I don't understand sometimes the amnesia.
Okay, all right, and we don't have to get technical. I guess that was just one issue. And if you want to touch on the last comment about the request for increasing items eligible for recycling, look at other cities, composting, as you mentioned, more electronics, batteries, etc.
Definitely, we definitely want to increase recyclables. Composting, we're on the cusp of having more composting offerings. Our intent is to bring regional composting to the Mid-South, like commercial scale, where not only residential but also our industrial and like our food processors and our industrial institutional waste. So we're working closely with the industry to do that. I'm really excited about that coming in the next. Really, I hope by the end of this calendar year. As far as the e-waste, these convenience centers that we were working at, these grants that we're working on, we're trying to get more difficult to recycle waste. We found with single stream recycling, the recycling system that we have, it can be expensive, and with the wide fluctuations in the commodity market, it can make it more difficult, less sustainable. To add to our menu in single stream, but we do want to work with both the private sector and by adding these convenience centers where we can take these hard to recycle materials at drop-off locations and expand that opportunity for our customers.
Okay. Well, we have only a couple of more minutes. I really, again, appreciate you all for being on here. I wanted to give you a space and Team Waste a space to say any last minute comments to our Area E. Whatever you want to say to them, if you want, what's the silver lining? What's your advice? We're getting ready to head into the spring season. Like you said, cutting and grass and extra trash, and it's getting warmer. We don't want varmints out, pests in our communities. People are really, somewhat uneasy, and so I just want to open the floor for you to share your last minute comments.
Certainly, thank you. So I would jump back to an earlier question that I'm not sure we got answered for you, Councilwoman Logan. The same truck does pick up, for us at least, bulk waste and yard waste. That was a question earlier on. So that is the same grapple truck that picks those items up for us. As far as the Area E customers specifically, we're going to continue to do all we can and utilize extra resources as we have them to make sure that we're servicing the bulk situation. As Director Davis mentioned, we have the same struggles that every transportation company has as far as it relates to labor and or equipment. But we have a newly hired additional supervisor that's dedicated solely to Area E. So that's 3 supervisors from our perspective dedicated directly to Area E. And today we had an additional truck and driver out there because we had that attendance and we had that mechanical ability because our vehicles were up. So as long as we have that, then we're going to continue to put whatever resources we have at our disposal out there to take care of Area E. And, if we're going to run behind from time to time, it's just the nature of the business, but we're going to be there to get it. As issues arise, we will continue to work closely with the solid waste department and respond timely when we know of issues. We're certainly we've got Morning Woods written down. We're going to go take a look at that and figure out what, if anything's going on there. And certainly we're aware of Rock Creek Parkway country what goes on out there. So we're here. We're going to continue to do the job we're getting paid to do.
And, I know you all are contractors, but citizens just see you as the part of our team, the city team. So we expect the same service delivery model. And thank you for, you all servicing Area E and that relationship that you have with Director Davis and the team. We want to continue that and strengthen it, and for all of us to get better. So, that's why we're here. Sometimes iron sharpens iron. Sometimes, I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about what you all have to deal with. And hopefully you all have kind of heard the heartbeat of some of the citizens. So I do appreciate that. Director Davis, your last comments?
No, I want to appreciate everybody for participating tonight. It's really important to be engaged in the community, as Councilwoman knows. Being engaged makes us better at doing our jobs. We provide this as a service to you. We take that very seriously. I want to encourage everybody again, download the Curbside Collection app to stay informed about your collection, and contact 311 if there's anything that we can do. Again, we're not perfect. We realize that, but we're doing everything we can. Our employees and everybody is trying to do everything we can to make this city clean.
Thank you so much. Again, I want to thank CIYN for allowing us this platform. And I think there will be opportunities for people to go back and watch it. If I'm not mistaken, it'll be saved on the YouTube and Facebook pages. And so you all can go back and take a look at it. If you have any questions, they can direct those questions to Solid Waste Management. Is there an email, general information portal or something? Mr. Davis, you want to give?
We want to again encourage memphistn.gov for solid waste announcements on the website and that Curbside Collection app.
Okay. Is there an email address for Solid Waste Management Department, general? Or waste, or just 311?
Just 311 is that I don't know that we have a generic. I know we have an invoices one, but I don't want to get it bogged down with customer complaints too. So 311 is that, and the reason why I want to encourage everybody to use 311 also is that's our report card. That is the mayor's metrics for evaluating the service that my job, how I'm doing, and the service that we provide. And if it doesn't get entered into 311 or C-Click Fix, it doesn't get logged into the Oracle system. And so it doesn't get logged in as one of our metrics. And so 311 is that portal for that.
Absolutely. I get that. As some of my colleagues, as we always say, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So
Right.
We'll leave it at that. But thanks again. And here you have it, Area E. Hopefully you got your questions answered. You got some new information. I know I learned a few things, and we'll be a little bit more patient and know who to call, when to call, and how to put out my trash and recyclables and debris, and make certain that if you have contractors that they are contracted to haul the things off that are supposed to be hauled off, or cut them up as they should be. And you all know that now the convenience centers, and you will have this up on the YouTube page and Facebook for you to refer to. Have a wonderful evening, and thank you so much for joining us. This has been Council in Your Neighborhood with Councilwoman Rhonda Logan and Director Davis from Solid Waste Management. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.